I actually love this case. I'm going to tell you why. It brought me back to my law school days.
In my line of work, I see people make split-second choices, sometimes good, sometimes disastrous. But what happens when fear makes the choice for you? You don't think, you just react. It's a primal instinct. Survive at all costs. Some run, some freeze, and some, like Miss Falcon, do something so out of character it lands them in court, twice. This is a story about that moment when fear takes over. It's not about logic or reason, but about a mother's terror. When you're desperate to protect your child, consequences vanish. All that matters is safety. It started with a single panicked leap onto the hood of a stranger's car. That act set off a chain reaction of legal trouble, forcing everyone to ask, when fear is the cause, who pays for the effect? The law usually deals in facts and evidence, but sometimes the feeling behind the action is the most important fact of all. Fear can make you stronger, but it can also make you reckless. Miss Falcon would say her fear was justified. Miss Cameron, the other party, would say the consequences weren't her problem, and I was left to sort it all out. Before the courtroom, you need to picture the moment before everything went wrong. It was a beautiful, peaceful day, sun shining, birds singing. The kind of day where nothing bad should happen. But danger doesn't care about the weather. It can appear in an instant, on the quietest street, in the most unexpected form, and that's exactly what happened here. Our story unfolds in a peaceful North Carolina suburb, tree-lined streets, manicured lawns, neighbors who wave. It's the picture of American tranquility, a place where families feel safe. On this afternoon, Miss Falcon and her daughter Aliyah were out for their daily walk with their tiny Yorkshire Terrier. Their routine was simple, predictable, and safe. They passed familiar houses, chatted, and enjoyed the calm. Nothing ever happened here, until today. The law often asks what a reasonable person would expect. On this street, on this day, a reasonable person would expect peace. That assumption was about to be shattered. On one side, Miss Falcon, her daughter, and their leashed Yorkie, a tiny harmless companion. She followed the rules, kept her dog under control, and respected her neighbors. Across the street was Miss Cameron, owner of a pit bull puppy. The breed isn't the issue. Responsibility is. Puppies, regardless of breed, are unpredictable and need supervision. On this day, Miss Cameron's puppy was loose in her yard, unrestrained. She wasn't paying attention. This set the stage for disaster. One neighbor careful, the other careless. Miss Falcon's leash was a sign of respect for the community. Miss Cameron's lack of one was an invitation for chaos. Her decision to let her puppy roam free introduced unpredictability into a peaceful street. Two philosophies collided. One of control, one of neglect. And that's where the trouble began. As Miss Falcon and Aliyah walked, the pit bull puppy spotted them. To the puppy, it was playtime. But to Miss Falcon, it was a threat, an unleashed dog charging toward her child and tiny pet. The puppy broke from its yard, running fast. In seconds, peace turned to panic. Miss Falcon's instincts screamed, "Protect your daughter, protect your dog." She saw not a playful puppy, but a predator. Fear distorted everything. The puppy seemed huge, dangerous. All the stories about pit bulls flashed through her mind. There was no time for logic. The key fact, the dog was unleashed, uncontrolled, and its owner was nowhere in sight. Miss Falcon was alone, facing an unknown threat. No one was there to call the dog back or reassure her. In that moment, she had to act. And she did. In a split second, Miss Falcon grabbed her Yorkie, pulled her daughter, and scrambled onto the nearest parked car. It was a desperate, clumsy move, pure survival. For a moment, they were safe, perched on the hood, the puppy circling below. The danger had passed, but the cost was immediate. The car's hood was scratched and dented. The owner, uninvolved in the chaos, was now a victim too. Miss Cameron finally retrieved her dog. The immediate threat was gone, but a new problem had appeared. The car owner saw the damage and wanted someone to pay. Miss Falcon and her daughter, shaken and crying, faced a new reality. The escape had come at a price. The car owner didn't care about the dog, just the damage. Someone had to be held responsible. The question was, who? And that's how the legal battle began. The car owner did what anyone would, got a repair estimate, $1,500. They handed the bill to Miss Falcon. From their view, it was simple. You jumped, you pay. Miss Falcon admitted she'd jumped on the car, but insisted it wasn't her fault. She believed Miss Cameron's negligence forced her hand. If the puppy had been leashed, none of this would have happened. Miss Cameron refused to pay, arguing her dog never touched anyone or the car. The car owner sued Miss Falcon. In court, the facts were clear. Miss Falcon caused the damage. The judge ruled against her. She paid the $2,500. Legally, it was straightforward. You break it, you buy it. But Miss Falcon felt wronged. She'd acted to protect her child from a danger someone else created. The law saw only the direct action, not the cause behind it. That sense of injustice led to a second, more complicated lawsuit. Now Miss Falcon wanted Miss Cameron to pay. The real question, who was truly at fault? Miss Falcon, having paid the damages, sued Miss Cameron for reimbursement. Her argument, your negligence caused my fear caused my action caused the damage, so you're responsible. The legal question, was Miss Cameron's failure to leash her dog the true cause of the damage? Could she have foreseen that letting her puppy run free might lead to panic and property damage? Miss Cameron argued her dog was friendly, and Miss Falcon overreacted. She claimed a reasonable person wouldn't have jumped on a car. But fear isn't always reasonable. The case was about proximate cause. Was Miss Cameron's negligence the first link in the chain? One woman said, "You made me do it." The other said, "You chose to do it." The court had to decide. Does reasonable fear transfer liability? That was the heart of the conflict. In my courtroom, the tension was thick. Miss Falcon described her terror, her instinct to protect her child and dog. She presented proof of the $2,500 she'd paid. Her plea, if the dog had been leashed, none of this would have happened. Miss Cameron insisted her puppy was harmless and blamed Miss Falcon for overreacting. But you can't decide for others what they should fear. An unleashed, unknown dog is a threat until proven otherwise. Miss Cameron argued Miss Falcon had other options, but it's easy to judge from a distance. In the grip of panic, instinct takes over. Miss Cameron's negligence robbed Miss Falcon of calm decision-making. She created the panic, then blamed the victim for panicking. The question, who bears responsibility for the chaos? The answer would set a precedent for fear, responsibility, and community. In the end, it wasn't just about a car, it was about what we owe each other, and who pays when fear takes control. After hearing both sides, I had to decide. This case was about more than a dented car. It was about responsibility. In a community, you must control your property, including your pets. You're responsible for the foreseeable consequences of your actions and your inaction. I told Miss Cameron, you set this chain of events in motion. Letting your dog run free created a hazard. It's foreseeable that an unleashed dog could scare someone into acting desperately. The direct cause was Miss Falcon's jump, but the root cause was Miss Cameron's negligence. You don't have to touch the car to be responsible for the damage. I ruled in favor of Miss Falcon. Miss Cameron had to reimburse her. The lesson, small acts of carelessness can have big consequences. Responsibility isn't just about what you do, but what you cause. When fear makes you act, the person who created the fear should pay. In my courtroom, that's the law.